Yeah, well, SPG Prints 2023, the textile business was under pressure because the textile market in general was under pressure, and of course we, as a major supplier of consumable materials, we suffered from that as well. So it was really under pressure, but yeah, we're also active in the graphics business, and that was helping us also to compensate a little bit on it. Everybody knows there was a lot of turbulence in the world, which had its effect on people buying clothes, buying home textile, and that of course has its effect in selling consumables for us, inks, rotary screens, and that kind of stuff. Capital investments were, if any, where possible, postponed by our customers, so it was not our best year, but things look better now into 2024. The first signs are there that market is recovering, going back to better times, and so also I think this FESPA will hopefully show that in the textile part, FESPA is broader than that, there is some recovery happening, which hopefully also, yeah, we see some signs. The first months were better than 2023. We have used the time to develop a broader portfolio of digital textile machines. We've introduced new inks, so we are still working on keeping our footprint into this market, even expanding it, as our customers are expecting from SPG Prints. Yes, yeah, you mentioned ITMA. That was of course a major milestone that everybody always looks forward to, and if we now look back at, 9 months after ITMA, then we definitely see that people are planning to invest, but they're trying to find the right moment. And I was talking to customers who were saying, okay, I don't want to be late. I don't want to be early because then my machine is sitting idle, but I also don't want to be late. So that's been a struggle for our customers. But at the same time, they were seeing we have been expanding our portfolio. We are in sublimation printing, as you see this printer here behind me. But also on the ink side, everybody knows there's a lot of discussion around sustainability. And we want to avoid that being a greenwashing experience. So, but we have been developing pigment inks as there's a big request from the market to avoid the steaming and washing which you have with reactives or with acid inks or with disperse inks. And for disperse, they're also looking at replacing it with sublimation. Knowing the advantages of sublimation, of course it's very easy, you print on paper, you only need a calendar and you have a product. But there's also, people know about, fastnesses are not as high as in disperse, so whatever you can develop to improve that is what we have been doing in the time, basically since the previous ITMA, before we even knew there was coming COVID, and COVID gave us the time to develop. So these developments have been going on. We're also using a new generation Epson print heads in this printers. We have been introducing Kyocera heads in our printers, where we before only had the Samba heads from Fujifilm. So we really ran broader. We have our Violet using Konica Minolta heads, because we see in the print head market there is more players now, and we also see markets, let's say, asking or preferring certain print head types. And then if you don't have a printer that supports it, then you're not even going to the negotiation table. So that's why we said we have to expand, we have to make a broader portfolio, and we're still doing that. We're looking at more colors into a sublimation machine. We are looking at more print heads in a scanning machine. So there's a lot of development still going on. Wider machines for the home textiles, because we saw also during the COVID break, so to say, that the home textile market, which traditionally was not very digital minded, because they were used to using pigments and they are used to wider machines. Now both are available, so we see that the home textile market really is picking up. And in your home country, India, of course, there is a lot of home textile printing as well. And I can tell you that at the moment, the market that grows best in digital is the Indian market. So if I compare worldwide, we sold the most machines in India last year and beginning of this year. So that is really something that is encouraging us to grow further. And also, we're very active in India. We have our own company there, Stoveke and Ahmedabad. So that gives us the possibility to grow, and we are now already convinced 2024 will be a better year for us than 2023. Yeah, so what I already told you, we have our own subsidiary there. We're producing rotary screens, which is the main business there. Rotary screen machines and rotary screens as a consumable. But also on the digital side, we have been able to sell a couple of machines basically since ITMA. We have customers who had a Javelin now also bought a Jasmine, which is our Kyocera machine. We have the first rows we sold was in India. So also sublimation printing there. We have installed a Pike in Surat over the last year. So India was really good. We had several other markets. Of course, China is a market where there's a lot of textile printing, but also a lot of competition from the Chinese brands. So there you see that the high-end factories, they want to have European machines, European vendors. So there we stand a chance. We have in the south of Europe, Spain, Italy, Portugal are good textile markets for us. Even in Germany we're doing some stuff. Pakistan was a trouble last year because of the import restrictions, but now that has been resolved. Also there the interest is growing. So all in all, we are positive, but it starts with all the people have to buy clothes and buy home textiles, because then the demand increases. Our customers get more demand, and that means they also come to us to buy new equipment and new consumables. Even that question we get from our own customers, why would I buy from you? And what we normally tell them, and that's the fact, is we are in textile printing since 1963, rotary printing. So we know textiles. And a lot of the machine builders nowadays, if you ask them, okay, what is a 1x1 rip knitwear, they cannot tell you. How does a 1x1 knit behave in a blanket machine? What glue should I use? How do I get my colors right? If I tell the people, many people have at home an inkjet printer, and they make a picture of their wife or their family, and they want to print it out on their inkjet printer, and they experience always the skin tones look different. How do I get the colors right? Well, the same you have in a digital textile machine. So making a printer nowadays, you can buy a lot of components and almost maybe assemble it yourself. Maybe that's a bit exaggerated, but you are right, that is not anymore where is the big differentiation. The big differentiation is making a textile product out of it. And you know, every customer has his own fabric where he's proud of, what is his typical fabric. And if you have a very slippery, stretchy fabric, how to handle it to get it through your printer. So if we sell a printer, I tell them, we're not selling you a printer, we collect the money, there's a good luck sign on it, and we'll put it on your doorstep. No, we install them, and we help you, we train your operators how to run it. And in case, if it's a reactive printer, we're not only looking at the printing, no, we also go with you to your steamer, to your washer, to your pre-treatment. How do you pre-treat the fabric so that you get the best colors out of it? When you print it, how do you make a profile? What choices do you have? How do they influence your image quality? And then to the steamer, to the washer. What is the right temperature? How long in there? What is the right washing sequence? And you cannot always say this is the right one, because it's very much depending on the fabric. The weight, the construction, the fiber, the yarn. So all these things, and that is a know-how which we bring besides the printer. So if you buy the printer, it may be a bit more expensive than the competition, but you also get that knowledge as part of it, which you cannot see in the printer, but it's very essential when you want to make money with the machine. And of course, last but not least, we have our local representatives everywhere. So you know, in India we have our own company. I think, by the way, nowadays in India we have more employees than in Holland, which is the home base of SPG Prints. But we have a whole crew of service technicians, application specialists, people who know textiles and who help to get the best product out of it. It has a lot of different factors. It starts with the inks themselves. How do you manufacture the inks? How do you do that in a responsible way for the environment? So not dumping wastewater and all that kind of stuff. In screen manufacturing, how to do that efficiently with energy, with electricity. So solar energy, wind energy, and that so on is used in it. But also in the printing itself, if you don't take the right pre-treatment on your fabric, you're consuming more ink than necessary. And you may think, okay, that's attractive for us because we sell ink, but in the end, if the customer is washing off a lot of that ink because the pre-treatment is not fixing the color in the right way, then in the end the customer is faced with a too high cost. So printing with as less ink as possible is a way to save energy, to save environment. Then in the steaming and washing, the same. If you have an ink which better fixates, you also wash off less of the ink. So that is in the digital part is the main thing. In the rotary part, with the screen innovations that we're still doing, and we also launched again on last year's ITMA, we can influence how much printing paste you use with certain screen types. And if you have 20% less ink paste to make the same design in the end on the fabric, then that's a big saving for the environment. And apart from that, also in the R&D, it goes back to very fundamental research. How can you make inks out of natural stuff instead of chemical stuff? So we get an alarm. And so that also, so it goes all the way from the research to the development, but also to today's products. And again, what I mentioned before, consulting our customer to work in a good way helps to save the environment. Yeah, well, to be honest with you, when I started going to India for digital textiles, I think 2011 I was at a conference speaking. I was at several of the ITMA exhibitions. And I was always a little bit annoyed by the fact that digital was so small in India. And I knew my colleagues on the rotary side, they were explaining to me why, because a lot of the rotary printing was dominant in India. And like I said, being responsible for digital, I sometimes thought, okay, when does it finally break through here? But when it does, then it's booming, eh? And we now see that happening. And maybe 10 years later than we hoped, but there's always a logical explanation for it, and it was the efficiency in which India was doing rotary printing, and we were contributing to that with our engraving systems, with our high mesh screens, with our innovative rotary machines. We were helping that industry to be very profitable, and because of that, maybe digital breakthrough was a bit later than in other countries. Everybody knows it started in Italy because of the high-end silk products, but some of the neighboring countries for you, they were growing in digital faster than you did. But now it's the other way around. India is growing very fast. And then you mentioned a couple of advantages, but don't forget the language. You speak English, and that's a big advantage for a lot of brands. That maybe want to go to other Asian countries where only little people speak English, and for a lot of brands that is an extra challenge. And India is in that perspective, it's also, I don't want to be speaking bad about other countries, but India is peaceful. There's no turbulence. And that's what brands also like about it, eh? So. That's my personal explanation why I think India now is growing, like I said in the beginning, growing faster than surrounding countries, or I almost say everywhere else in the world. And I hope that continues, because we want to sell a lot of our digital products, apart from our conventional stuff, in India going forward.